Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and so we'll continue our conversation. So, anytime that you have to be around a narcopath for any length of time, it's going to leave a negative effect on you. But, like most of us, if you have had to be around a narcopath for an extended period of time, like you have a narcissistic parent or parents, or even siblings, or God forbid you end up marrying one of these monsters, or worse than that, marrying one and having kids with one, then you become tied to one. This is one of those no contact situations that you can't go no contact with, right? The ones that I mentioned over and over again. When you're around these folks and they're chipping away at your soul, it causes something. I know you've heard the term, but I'm gonna talk about what it was like and what's happening now. PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, is when somebody sees or experiences some catastrophic event and it causes them to have this disorder where maybe certain sounds or sights or smells will bring them back into that state of mind. But the C-PTSD, the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is when you've been around one of these monsters for a long time. And that's the difference, is that it seems to have its claws or hooks in you a lot longer than just the PTSD. In my experience, when I began to uncover and expose the narcissist for what she was, and I told you things, man, they don't like that, and they turn the heat up, and they'll turn the smear campaigns up, and they'll turn the gaslighting and lighting and the manipulation, all the stuff, all their little bag of tricks will all come out at one time, and they will try to go scorched earth on you. They're not going to leave anything. There's no win-win with the narcopath, right? So as I'm watching this happen, and I know it's about to happen, I don't know how to handle it because I didn't even know the terms yet. But when you have to go through this, it destroys so much of your personality and so much of your behavior and thought processes that you really don't know which way really is up for a while. For me, it even took as long as some of the effects, even as long as last year. And I'll tell you why. When I had to go through family court, as we were talking about on a couple of the other videos, which is nothing more than to abuse and harm you some more. They don't use the court system to try to hash things out. Like, I thought we were going to go divide things up and figure out but that's not what they do. They keep the ball rolling to see if they can get you to pull you off sides, to see if they can get you to say something or do something that they can use against you again in court, rather than just trying to wrap it up. An example of that, before I go on, is I think I called her a sorry bitch one day, and because it was just like prodding me over and over, and I finally, and there you go, that's the little hook. That's the thing that they can show people when they finally push your buttons and you finally snap. And what it was nasty. What she wrote back was, documented, thank you. That's exactly what she wanted. They want to push your buttons. They want to abuse you, screw with your mind until you finally lose your temper. Other times when I would be dealing with this monster, they do and say things. They will cooperate, or they become uncooperative is what I should say, in things that they should be cooperating with. Then they do things that you don't want them to do. So it's almost bass backwards opposite of what it is that should be done, until again you finally lose your temper. And I could watch her breathe a sigh of relief as I got angry. A literal, you could see that the mission accomplished. That was the goal. It had nothing to do with the argument, nothing to do with what we were talking about, but everything in upsetting me and other people around her. Okay? So when you go through this for year after year after year, it does things to you. And you find this stuff cropping up at the most unexpected times. Certain times of the year, I would become very, very depressed. And things just all of a sudden would skip a gear, and I couldn't understand why. The brain doesn't always make sense to not just me and you, but even the professionals. It doesn't always make sense about why or how it handles trauma and abuse and these things, especially the mental and emotional abuse. When you don't really know how to handle it, the brain's going to find some way to handle it for you. Okay, so what I'm trying to do and I am trying to give you some idea of the lay of the land with these people and what happens after you go no contact. So I had to go gray rock and low contact for many years, and I was always on guard. You had to be, because this is where people tell you to go no contact, and you can't just go no contact because they're watching. You're in a war. Okay, you may not be interested in this war, but that war is interested in you, and they brought it to you, and that's just what you're going to have to do. So anyway, I had to still be in some contact because we had minor children together. And because of that, the episodes would become less and less and less intense, but sometimes they'd come back with a vengeance for no apparent reason. All of a sudden, my entire behavior would just be completely different for 2 or 3 days. And on that note, something else crossed my mind, that if somebody is gaslighting you all the time and you're trying to say, look, 2 + 2 equals, and they tell you it's 5, if you have a constant gaslighting going on, I'm going to think that it would probably cause some sort of learning disabilities with the people around. For an example, right now I'm learning another foreign language, okay? I'm learning Thai. And it's not an easy language. It's very strange. It's much different than my native English. And I do speak some Russian and Spanish as well, but this one is coming much easier than any of the others because I don't have this same C-PTSD thing going. That's just a side note of what's happening here. Anyway, to get back to it, the C-PTSD is caused by these people, and I think that it causes even learning disabilities, where people will, if they were to have to test out on an IQ test, they may not be able to function at their standard level if they've been around a narcopath for the extended period of time, especially one that's raising you. Someone's telling you 2 + 2 = 5 and something's wrong. But these people are in positions of power of some sort, whether it's a spouse or a parent, and you trust those people. You don't expect them to be feeding you bad data all the time, corrupted data into your computer up here. This is the stuff that it causes. So as I went through, and I've mentioned last year that our son had finally turned 18, and I remember telling some friends of mine that, man, that's going to be so great because I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. I can take that bitch's number out of my phone. I can block everybody. I can go complete no contact, and they legally can't do anything to me. Little did I know that just after that was the worst, longest episode I'd had. It was absolutely devastating. I could not come out of it. Whatever it was happening, the brain is adjusting to the new surroundings, because let's put it this way. You may have surroundings, but you also have mental surroundings too. Mental furniture, if you will. And these things, it was necessary. You have to protect yourself from them. You have to watch what they're doing. And so you're going to have like a low level on guard all the time. Well, when I finally let the guard down, because I could, it was done. My brain wasn't having it, and it almost seemed to turn on me for a while. But now, and I'll tell you how I know this, that it's completely gone. I know that it's completely gone now because I went through this time of year where it usually used to happen, and didn't happen. I watched. I mean, I don't like keeping a diary on it, but I do remember these certain times of year and things. It seems to have finally undone whatever it was. And this has been literally 20 years. From the time that I began to realize that something was wrong around the people around me and some of the global stuff that we won't talk about, from that time until now, it's been 20 years. Okay. But in between that time, there's been a bunch of good times too. I'm not saying it's going to take you exactly 20 years for you to recover, but it's worth every second of recovery that you get when you are away from them. I understand what it's like to have to be low contact with someone that you hate because of what they've done to you. This is well founded. It's not like you just decided it comes with observation, understanding what they've been doing. Like, it just didn't come out of the blue. All right. So this is well-deserved contempt that you have for those people. Don't forgive them. Don't forgive them until it's time. It's like telling a gunshot victim that they need to quit bleeding. Hey, you need to just stop bleeding right now. This stuff takes time. Don't listen to people that tell you to just go no contact when you can't. So when you can, be aware that there may be some residual effects they're going to show themselves, and you need to be ready for that. I want all of you, I want everybody that comes to this channel and the others too, all of you to be free from these people, these monsters, because they're not going to change. But you and I have that ability. We've talked about that we're a higher being. I think that we're higher. I think that we're more in tune with the way things are. The narcissist will never have the ability to change because what they do works for them. But it wasn't working for us. That's why we started looking for something else. We're not the same. We're not like them. So from the time that you figure out that something's wrong to the time that you're having to go low contact and finally even no contact, sometime after that, you can find out that you may end up, I'll just call them episodes where things just didn't seem right. And, but trust me on this, that as you go further and further away and the clearer that you get, the more in tune you are, in tune with yourself, it's a gift beyond, I can't even explain it to you because I never had it, because I'm one of those that was born to one. And then I married one. I just went from the frying pan into the fire with this stuff, right? So when you finally get out, and it was touch and go for a while, people, they almost had me. It was in some very, very difficult times. And I'm sitting here right now in my surroundings, and I am comfortable. I don't want to rejoin those fights again. I did my time. I did my time fighting things and being vocal and all this. I don't want to do it anymore. I mean, even veterans get to go home and they don't have to continue to fight all the time, right? So with that being said, I want to thank you all, and I want to tell you all again. I'm going to try to close out with this thing if I can still remember. I may have to look over at the board, but I wrote this where this is what I really, really wish for you. And this is no kidding, okay? I really do wish for you that you're free from suffering, that you're safe from your abusers, okay? And that you have, clarity, peace, joy, and wisdom. And with that, I will sign off. Okay. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me. I hope to see you all again real soon. Thank you.